have many things to talk about. And the first thing I need to say is that my bonus episodes typically arrive on Tuesdays. So it is only fitting that we are talking about dildos, because if it's Tuesday, there must be dildos.
Yeah, Dildo Tuesday. Everyone has it, right?
Everybody has Dildo Tuesday. So I'm really fascinated by the fact that we have so many terrible launches happening at the same time. Although I'm coming around on the book launch, I think there was some very curious decisions made, but I'm coming around on the book launch part because I read today that well, I'll get to it in a minute.
I mean, our cup runneth over at the moment.
Bad launches, right?
Yeah.
So we have Katy Perry launching an album where she worked with Dr. Luke and expected nobody to notice that part. Her song was terrible. Her iconography is terrible. The marketing is bad. And now the Environmental Protection Agency of Baleares is investigating because they filmed on dunes that are protected without a permit. And now she may be in deep shit. Now, to her defense, obviously you hire a production company to do that locally and you trust that they're going to get all the permits and sure, make everything correct. But yikes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not up to Katy Perry alone to secure those permits, but also bad.
Yikes. And then we have the launch for It Ends With Us, which is never ending. This is never ending.
I know. I posted in Wednesday links, sort of like a little rundown of the drama, some Reddit posts, and then, of course, tangentially related it to like, oh, and by the way, Sarah's in the New York Times recommending books if you if you did enjoy It Ends With Us.
Okay, I need to tell you something kind of cool. I cannot prove I had anything to do with this, but in the slight chance that I did, I will be joyful for the rest of my life. So I did the list, and my whole goal with that New York Times list, they came to me to write it, and my whole purpose with that was I want angsty, emotional books that are actually romance. Because the thing about It Ends With Us is that it is marketed as a romance and it is not a romance. Yeah. That's a whole other can of worms. That can comes back around every 5 years when we talk about it. So yeah, It Ends With Us, not a romance. The happy ending is in book 2. But I wanted like the same sort of gonna make you ugly cry, emotionally wrenching, tackles hard stuff, characters going through it, books. And so, of course, I put Kennedy Ryan on there with 2 picks, which I managed to get in. Here's an interesting thing. I had originally put, please be aware that the following books contain scenes of abuse, assault, harm, and suicidal ideation. And I basically put a warning. I didn't call it that, but I was like, here, please be aware that the following books contain these things. And my editor at the time said, the Time Style Guide does not allow for trigger warnings or content warnings. We have to take this out. And I was like, well, you're doing your readers a disservice. I tried. But yeah, they were like, nope, we got to take that out. So,
I can't believe they were like, we don't allow that. That's part of
it's not part of our style guide. I was like, well, your style guide's wrong, but okay.
Yeah.
Nothing I can do about it. I'm not in charge. So then I post about it. I do all the social media. My interview with Oriana Leckert from Kickstarter really resonated with me because at one point she said, promote the things you have to promote as hard as you can, everywhere that you can. I promise you someone will always be like, I didn't know that. And I was like, you're right. I got to do a better job of promoting my shit. So I'm promoting my shit. Well, then Kennedy Ryan shares about a day or 2 later a screenshot of Michelle Obama being asked on Instagram, what are you reading? And one of the things she's reading is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan.
Oh my God.
And I was like, did she read about this in the Times? Holy shit. Oh my God. Well, now the Atlanta Journal-Constitution has done a big ass profile of Kennedy Ryan going, look at the successful author who's an Atlanta resident. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, if I had the slightest thing to do with tipping the press toward Kennedy Ryan, I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. This gives me such a thrill. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. An author who is getting it done is getting a lot of promo. And if I happen to tip that, I'm so excited. So in that whole New York Times article, I really wanted to make sure, like, if you are looking for that emotional, wrenching catharsis cry, these books are also happy endings, and you're doing that in a place where it ends happily. Like, that's kind of the important part. Well, what's weird about the movie release is how messy it is, right?
Oh yeah, so messy. Here for the mess.
So messy. Do you think we can do a quick recap of what has happened in case someone listening to this is like, I don't know what you're talking about?
I think we could try.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to start and then I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay.
Justin Baldoni, who is from Jane the Virgin, optioned the book and was directing and starring. And from what has been leaked, has been very upfront. Like, this is a story about domestic violence. This is a story that is very difficult. We need to be cognizant of what we're doing. The movie comes out and the marketing is, it's a little weird, right?
Yeah, not a good tonal match for what is happening in the book/movie.
And I think what they were going for was sort of like Barbie last year, like this is the movie to go see with your friends. And they are trying to tap into Hoover's fandom, which has already made the movie a success. It made back its budget. This movie has done well for its budget. Like, it's made back its money and it's having a good time. But the hey, wear florals and get your girls. I think with Barbie, the marketing was pink and positive and nostalgia. And hey, remember when you were a little girl and you thought you could do anything and be anything because Barbie was telling you that. And then you go see the movie and it's like, hey, surprise. There's some feminist messages in here about what it means to be an adult woman. I think this is trying to do the reverse. Hey, there's this movie about domestic violence, but dress for it like it's a rom-com. Like, they're trying to do the reverse and it doesn't work.
Yeah, and it also feels gross in that so the star of the movie, or one of the stars of the movie, Blake Lively, who's also executive producer?
Yeah, she's executive producer, and I actually have something to read to you that I screen grabbed on Instagram today because we were recording. So go ahead and I'm going to pull this up.
Yeah, she's been using a lot of the movie promo to promote her own businesses. Yeah. So she's talking about like her hair care line.
Launched a hair care line.
And apparently she has a drink company.
Yes, she had. She doesn't drink. And she launched a line of, I thought this was actually really cool, a line of non-alcoholic mixers. Well, then she came out with alcoholic ones as well about a year later.
Yeah, so she has her own drink company, and the character in the movie/book is a florist
named Lily Bloom. Oh, Lily romance Bloom. Never let me down.
So she's like tied in her drink branding with like the floral branding for a lot of like events. So it feels like she's using this to promote her own brands as part of the movie promo, which feels weird. And like, I haven't seen the movie, I haven't read the book, but I feel that combining alcohol promotion with a piece of media that has domestic violence is not a good look either.
I know that she and Ryan Reynolds always include their own brand projects in their movies. Like when she did that movie with Anna Kendrick, A Simple Favor, there were lots of shots where like Ryan Reynolds' gin bottle is prominent. Like there was product placement of his stuff. There's, product placement of her stuff and other things. So they are very into cross promoting their brands. And they're also very powerful for doing that. Like they have so many, Ryan especially has so many streams of income, and between Mint Mobile and aviation and whatever. The thing that's weird is that, so there's two separate screenings. Justin Baldoni is at a screening with all of the Sony executives and his friends and family. And then there's another screening with Blake and Ryan and Hugh Jackman. They're doing a cross promo of Wolverine. Like, were they trying to go for Barbenheimer here? Because again,
I think they probably were.
I mean, I get it. But the thing is, Barbenheimer was kind of organic because the message from Barbenheimer from the studios was, you're going to have to choose. Are you going to see the serious manly movie or you're going to see the pink Barbie movie? And everyone was like, no, we're going to do both. This is great. Let's talk about nuclear war and Barbie. I love this plan. Like that was all organic. That was like people getting dressed up in suits to go see the Minions movie. Like it was just fun. People are silly and fun. Let people be silly and fun. So Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, and Blake Lively are all promoting this movie. All of the cast has unfollowed Justin. He still follows them. The whole people who sleuth out Instagram following, like I cannot do that, but I'm fascinated by this as a signal of discord.
No, I agree.
And the weird thing is that interview that Jenny Slate gave, where they were like, what was it like working with Ryan, with Justin Baldoni as director and actor? And her non-answer was like, well, I just want to have one job. That's a lot of jobs. I just want to have one job. And then just pivoted into talking about writing and didn't answer the question. But when the interviewer says his name, she makes a face that is like, oh, here it comes. And I was like, wait, that's weird. That's really weird. Because all of these people you would assume have media training and can spin past anything.
Yeah, I think for me, what I'm stuck on is obviously we don't really know what happened, right?
No one knows what happened, although there's leaking all over the place.
Yeah, but a lot of the leaks coming out don't make it look good for Blake.
Or Justin. Both of them look bad in different ways, right? It's weird.
Yes, but I haven't seen anything too terrible for Justin unless I'm behind. Like, he hired a PR firm that, helped with Johnny Depp. That doesn't look good at all.
They've also that PR firm though, that's a very cherry-picked client list, because they've also worked with, they're just a crisis PR firm. That's just a crisis PR firm, and it happens to be the one that this guy hired. I agree, it does not look good.
But I want to know if, like, I can understand sort of the dislike Blake is getting. But I can. I feel like I'm missing sort of like the smoking gun here of why the cast would alienate Justin. I feel like I'm missing that part of the puzzle. You know what I mean?
Here's the theory that I've seen that I agree with. Clearly there's some divide. He's not in any pictures with anybody. He's doing his own thing. And his messaging has still been very, this is about domestic violence. This is a very serious project. The leaking about him body shaming Blake, the details are not as drastic as the headline makes it seem.
No.
My theory is that something happened. And there's 2 edits of the film. Blake commissioned her own edit of the film. Ryan rewrote scenes that the screenwriter did not know about. Like the screenwriter who adapted the book did not know about Ryan having his hand in writing scenes. I see a lot of commentary
of like Blake saying, oh, Ryan's involved in all of my projects. Mm-hmm. And it gives me the impression of, I think a lot of us might know like that one couple that can't do anything without the other spouse.
The gossip about Ryan Reynolds is, especially in Blind Items, is that he is controlling. And he was married to Scarlett Johansson, and she's been on the record in the press saying that in previous relationships, it's hard when one person's star is higher than the other, and the person who isn't is having as much of a career bump, is more controlling. Like, she has said that their marriage, it was in part ending because of his behavior and his reaction to her being a bigger star. The rumor about him is always that he's very controlling, but I do not know if that is true. That is all alleged.
Yeah, I still remember when he was engaged to Alanis Morissette.
The thing about Blake and Ryan is that here's my theory. They are, that I have read and agree with. They are very powerful. Who are they friends with? They're friends with like Taylor fucking Swift, right? Like, these are very powerful people. Ryan Reynolds can make a whole career out of playing one character in one style. He can be Deadpool or Ryan Reynolds-esque in every movie, but he's got a mobile company. He's bought a football team. He has made himself into this multifaceted celebrity that is not just based on his film. And they are very powerful in that industry. And I think that the cast may have been like, okay, if I have to pick sides, do I want to alienate these 2 people who are so powerful in this industry? I do think, though, that Jenny Slate, she dated Chris Evans. She dealt with Chris Evans' fandom. I think she's pretty tough and doesn't give a shit. The fact that she's not speaking Justin Baldoni's name is weird. I wouldn't be surprised if something unpleasant happened when the production started to divide between Blake and Ryan's ideas and whatever Justin was doing. I don't think we're ever going to know the details, but the way the press tour and the premieres are so divided, and it's just the Blake show, is really, really weird. Here's what I screen capped. This is from an old MTV News article from a writer named, let's see, who is written by Hannah. I want to make sure I credit Hannah. Written by
also,
Hannah.
While Sarah's looking, Sarah has a very cute nail color on.
Oh,
I just want to
thank you for my vacation. So yeah, I don't have Hannah's Hannah Pfeiffer, it looks like. So this is Hannah's screen cap that Celebrity Memoir Book Club shared. This is from MTV News several years ago, and MTV News is offline now. More than anything, there's a particular freedom from anxiety that comes with looking at Blake Lively, as if her pleasant blankness could be contagious. Blake Lively is the physical embodiment of all things blonde, sun-kissed, American, white, and happy. She's not true neutral so much as she's an advertiser's dream of neutral. She'll vote for Obama, then throw a destination wedding on a Carolina plantation. Her favorite condiment is mayonnaise, unless icing counts as a condiment. She's Jennifer Aniston without the sarcasm, Cameron Diaz without the goofiness, Gwyneth Paltrow without the snobbish, Reese Witherspoon without the ambition. Congratulations, Hollywood. You've done it. The search is over. You found the perfect woman. No edges, so smooth. It's like she's not even there. So, I mean, okay, ouch, burn. That's brutal, right? But it's also very true. Blake Lively is a very blank, neutral canvas upon which you can project all of these things. And she's using that to her advantage for the movie premiere. The fact that it's a movie about domestic violence and it's not a rom-com is very disorienting because she's acting like this is a rom-com.
Yeah, when I was thinking about Blake Lively, just like in general, like her persona, her acting career.
Right.
I don't think I've ever seen a movie with Blake Lively in it because Blake Lively is in it. Nothing about her on a screen moves me to do anything,
right,
if that makes sense. Like, I don't feel motivated to watch anything she's in. And it's not boring. It's like this sort of blankness. It's like a void, you know what I mean? And there's just like nothing there for me to like grab onto.
Yeah.
That makes me care or want to consume whatever piece of media she's in.
And a lot of the things that have come out about her, like that journalist from Norway sharing that interview where Blake was so rude to her, and some of Blake's very flippant answers about domestic violence and what should fans take away.
Yeah, she's like, oh, do you want me to share my location with you or whatever?
Like, no, that was not what we were asking, my friend. No, she has since course corrected and clearly had some media response. Like, here's the better answer for that. Like, listen to somebody who's better at this than she is or was in that moment. But it's interesting to see. Here are two people who are promoting a project that has gone in wildly divergent ways. And the ways in which both of these people are using the media to spin their own narratives between Justin's side and the studio and then Blake and Ryan and everyone else. It's really interesting to watch them try to pivot and spin their own narratives. They are promoting the same project and actually fighting while they do it. The only thing we're missing is Harry Styles spitting on Chris Pine. I am waiting for some spit. Somebody better spit on somebody or I will feel unfulfilled in this entire like circus. Somebody needs to spit on somebody. Not really. That's gross. I'm just kidding.
I've seen a lot of commentary of like, God, I wish Chris Pine were here. You know?
Right. It's like a movie. It's like a real movie.
After the Don't Worry, Darling debacle.
Do we just need a weird launch? Is that like the thing of the summer? Like we need a weird movie with a weird launch.
A weird launch, but like I've never felt more alive this summer. You know what I mean?
Thanks, Kamala. I have hope and fun.
Yeah, this summer
I'm starved for joy, and we had the Olympics, and now we have Kamala Harris, and now we have a weird movie launch. And like none of this matters, but I'm fascinated by it. My cup runneth over.
And I'm thankful that like I could talk to you about this. I can talk to Smart Pitches on Slack about this. Because whenever there's drama in something that, like, I follow, I'm always like, hey, Brian, you want to hear the drama, what's going on in my neck of the woods? And Brian says yes, but I know I'm just talking into the air. Brian's not following. Brian's eyes have glazed over. And it's just, I just want to yap. I just want to yap about this to someone.
So then let's talk about Casey McQuiston's book launch. This has also been a bit of a messy launch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had.
Bit messy. Now, I do want to say that I think what we're seeing here is the difference between the marketing department and Casey's messaging. with the exception of that Vulture article. We'll get to the
That
Vulture
Vulture article, am still thinking about it today.
Oh,
like I woke up and I was already thinking about it.
So if anyone who's listening missed this story, St. Martin's sent out a big PR box for Casey McQuiston's new book, The Pairing. And in the box, according to people on social media, in the box was a vibrator and some honey and some personal lube. And then
the book.
And the book. And also, this is super smart. There was a perfume sample. Remember we were talking about how, that one author, I think it was Jennifer Blake, commissioned a perfume for herself and for a lucky winner of a contest.
And
we were like, that's so cool.
By the way.
There's a perfume sample in the book that is connected to the characters. And there's also a vibrator. Well, folks on Threads, and my understanding of Threads, I do not want to enter Threads because I have high blood pressure and I need to take care of my physical body. And it really sounds like a lot of what happens on Threads is stuff we litigated on Twitter 10 years ago and I can't do it again. Like I did it. Y'all can have it. Have fun. I don't want to talk about this stuff anymore. I already did this. I did this 10 years ago. I'm going to sit on my porch in my rocking chair with my blood pressure medication and I'm going to take care of myself. But the people on Threads who were talking about it were saying it was a dildo. For the record, that was not a dildo. That was an egg. That was a personal massager. That was not a phallus item.
Learn your sex toys, people. Be informed.
So people were very up in arms about St. Martin's Press sending out a box with what they called a dildo, which is actually a sex toy, and lube, and some honey. And people were very, very upset and offended. Like screen grabbed some of the things that I was sent. Then I saw the actual box and I was like, but that's not even a penis. That's not even a phallus shaped item.
Was St. Martin's also the publisher who sent the TikToker on the cruise, or was that another publisher?
That was Atria.
Okay. Atria is Simon and Schuster?
Atria is Simon and Schuster, yes.
Okay. I was wondering if we had a pattern of bad marketing decisions here.
No, but I will tell you, this also happens. I feel like I feel so ancient, Amanda. I feel so ancient. So this is many, many years ago. I'm going to have to actually look up this book. There was a Mary Janice Davidson book. I'm already taking you back, right?
Yeah.
There was a multiple personality book written by Mary Janice Davidson. This was in 2010. So this is almost 15 years ago we're talking about. It's called Me, Myself, and Why. And when St. Martin's sent out, I think it was St. Martin's. You know what? Sarah, you should check yourself there. Make sure you're not talking out your ass. St. Martin's Press. I was right. They sent out the book with little mini bottles of liquor, 3 little mini bottles of alcohol, 1 for each personality. And I was like, well, that's weird. So I opened the mail and my kids are very young at this point. And one of them was, what's the green one? Is that Midori that's green?
Yeah. I have some of that in my fridge right now.
They were like, oh, can I have that? And I was like, no, you cannot. And I was like, you know what? It's actually kind of weird to get mini bottles of alcohol from a publisher. What if I was I don't mean to pearl clutch and concern troll, but like, what if I was in recovery? That seems a little odd.
And I thought like some states you can't mail alcohol to.
Funny you should say that. At the same time that this was happening, so there's a Jewish holiday called Sukkot, and one of the things that you do is shake a lulav and etrog. The lulav is palms, palm branches, and an etrog. An etrog is like a giant gnarly lemon that's like 80% pith. It's like a big ass lemon, but the pith is inches wide and there's a little bit of fruit in the middle. And the etrog and shaking the lulav and etrog is actually a mitzvah. It's like a very holy ritual act to shake this during the holiday. And my rabbi at our synagogue in New Jersey got a bunch of etrogs. Remember, it was like this tiny amount of fruit, and made etrog liqueur as a gift, and sent etrog liqueur to other rabbis around the country as a gift from him that he knew. He was raided by the ATF and federal agents because he was sending out liquor over state lines without a license. And we got, oh my God, when I tell you the gossip that was going on in the synagogue, we got email about it. We've talked to our lawyer. Don't worry. This is what happened. It was an honest mistake, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, the ATF raided his house because he was making etrog liqueur and sending it to other rabbis for Sukkot. Like, it was a big scandal. So that was happening at the same time I got these mini bottles. And I was like, I already know that sending liquor across state lines is a bit of a dodgy business. What are you doing? Yeah. So I met at that point with one of the publicity directors at St. Martin. I happened to be in the office. I'm like, listen, I got to ask you about the mini bottles. And they're like, what mini bottles? I'm like, I got an arc of this book with mini bottles of liquor. And she went, oh, that was marketing. That was marketing. I had nothing to do with it. So the marketing decisions are always interesting. And now we have a sex toy and some lube and this book. On its own, that sends a weird message, right?
Yes. So as someone, I feel I'm very sex positive. I can talk about sex toys, no problem.
You write our sex toy columns. They're really great.
I really do not like equating the genre that we love so much, romance, with masturbation, because it does reduce it to the stereotype of this is porn and people are consuming it for sexual gratifications, which is fine if that's what you're consuming it for, but myself included, that's not why I read romance. I don't read romance for any sort of sexual pleasure, and I don't like sort of that messaging. Because I feel like it's pretty reductive.
I can see it both ways, right? Like on one hand, it is kind of amazing that romances exist that want you to be aroused, that let you explore arousal, which is already a very vulnerable and heavily controlled concept in our culture. That, that there are romances that let you explore arousal in the privacy of your own imagination. There's books who like, erotic romance would like to turn you on. The horny pants is in the genre title. Like, we get it. I think that's amazing. And I think it's awesome. And the number of people who I have met in my life who have said, I learned about my own sexuality because I read romance, and it was the only venue in which I felt safe to do that. That's amazing. I also understand the little bit of stomach clench at, let's make that the overt message that this is supposed to pleasure you. Like, okay, that's great, but like not everybody is in that same place. You know what I mean? And these books are just porn is an accusation that we've been fielding for how many decades now?
And I also think, like Casey McQuiston is a queer author, and the subjects of all of their books have been queer people. And, as part of queer identities, we have like asexuality in there. And I feel like as a queer person, sending sex toys to people whose business you don't know can make a lot of people uncomfortable.
It was a very strange marketing decision. Now, I'm glad it actually wasn't a phallus. Like everyone kept saying dildo, and I was like, literally, there was a dick in the box? Literally? No, it's an egg. It is meant for self-pleasure. But when you pair it with the Vulture article that they were in, oh boy.
That article makes me
the Vulture article is titled, this is July 29, 2024. Casey McQuiston is Trojan-Horsing trans romance. You're going to be 60% of the way in before you know that's what you're reading. Oh, there are so many things to unpack in that headline. Obviously, the writer and the subject do not write the headline. The headlines are all SEO. I know that from having gone through the editorial process for the article that I wrote about It Ends With Us. They were waiting for the SEO editorial feedback before I was given the final version. Like, there's a whole SEO element to approving this stuff. So I know that, Casey did not write that headline. The author of the article, Catherine Van Arendunk. I am probably saying that wrong. And if you're listening to this, Catherine, I'm sorry. They probably did not write this headline. But that headline, speaking of tired, outdated things that we deal with.
Yeah.
The whole idea of trans people tricking people.
Yeah. I do not like that.
Terrible message to underscore.
And then within the article, because I did read it, Casey goes on to explain that they sort of have this vision of their books being at Target, and like the suburban Target mom buying it, not knowing what's inside, and then like going on to peg their husband. Like, that's just, I feel pearl clutchy at this, but I'm like, people's sex lives are none of your business, and consent is important. And if someone doesn't want to be pegged, there's nothing wrong with that. But
so the quote that you're talking about from the article is I can tell you who I'm writing for, and I can tell you who I'm keeping in mind. I am writing for trans people, capital F, for trans people, queer people. Those are a lot of the people who engage with my work in ways that make me feel like they got it. But McQuiston, blockbuster queer romance author, is always aware of the broad audience of American romance readers. There's the old school image of the straight white Midwestern wife tucking a mass market paperback into her purse, and there's the more probable reader of today, someone who might pick up the pairing at a Target with no idea that its leads are queer. And this is Casey again, quote, "You're going to be 60% of the way in before you know that's what you're reading, and I have now Trojan-horsed you into reading a trans romance," they say. "I'm really interested in those people. I think they have often been underestimated, and I think they should peg their husbands." I have some discomfort with this framing, but this is how it, okay. So I don't know that this is working in the way that they would like. I still want to know what the marketing meeting was like.
Yeah.
Like, what was the marketing meeting to put this box together, and why was it a sex toy? Because if you're going to talk about pegging your husband, this is obviously, I thought that went with what I thought was a phallus in the box. It was not. It's an egg. It is not meant for pegging. And one of the things that makes McQuiston unique is that they have had their books adapted into successful visuals. The same with Colleen Hoover, the same with Emily Henry, who's going to be adapted into film soon. I think what we are feeling is marketing that isn't actually for us. Like, we are too fluent in romance to truly be the audience for this marketing. This marketing is for people who are not us. Like, this marketing isn't directed to us, and that's why it feels weird. Because it's using familiar messaging about romance in ways that we're like, wait a minute, these are kind of outdated things that you're bringing up. These are outdated concepts, whether it's the idea of Trojan-horsing the trans people. Oh God, cringe.
Get it all.
I will end with this, though, unless you have any final thoughts. I do have one positive thing to say.
No, I just get annoyed about it. I know several people who have picked up this book, and are part of the queer community, and I understand representation matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is the problem that I also have, and I've complained about this before, Taylor Swift, of like, I wish people can love the things that they love. I'm not saying you have to be critical of every piece of media that you consume.
Not everyone is qualified to be a certified hater.
This is a lifelong journey. But I also wish that people were more intentional and thoughtful about the pieces of media and the fandoms that they support. That's all. I just feel like a lot of cult of personality develop this fan base where everything they touch is gold, and we can't be critical ever of anything that they do. And I think that is a problem. And I'm not saying you have to, stop buying their stuff or whatever, but just have like a little bit more dialogue with the stuff that you consume.
Yeah, not everyone is going to be self-examining their likes and dislikes to the degree that like you and I do.
Yeah.
So here is a thing that I read this morning that I thought was very, very cool. In a channel about people who are recovering from evangelical and religious trauma, who have left the church or the religious organization that they grew up in. Somebody reported, "I sat in an absolutely packed Southern Baptist church tonight in the Bible Belt to listen to a non-binary author talk about their queer romance novel." This is Casey McQuiston. "This local feminist bookstore partners with this church for larger events, so I know it's not the first time they've probably hosted similar gatherings. But one of the pastors got up at the beginning to welcome everyone and made a point of essentially saying, 'We don't take it for granted that you are all in this space that may not have been welcoming to you in the past. We want to ask your forgiveness, but also if you're not ready to forgive, that's totally okay. We are so glad you are here.' And to sit in a very queer crowd and listen to the author talk about working through their own religious baggage and how that manifests in their queer writing was so meaningful. I still don't think I'm ready to consider church again personally, but every time I get a glimpse of a church space like this, it gives me so much hope." That's awesome.
That's very sweet.
Isn't that excellent?
Yeah.
So this is not to say, you know, Casey McQuiston is doing it wrong. No, this is a combination of like a not great message and in my opinion, it's somewhat strange marketing effort. Like, what was the message of this marketing? And also the discomfort of knowing the marketing is not aimed at me. But also Casey McQuiston is clearly doing some amazing things on tour. And I hope that everyone who goes to see them speak gets to have the experience of being seen and welcomed and included and felt in as part of a community that they might not have been felt part of before. That part is awesome. Any last comments?
No.
I'm very curious what folks who are listening have thought of these interesting launches, from the very, very terrible to the, okay, but all right.
Yeah, publishing marketing, I know they got to get creative, but some of the decisions that I've seen them made in my time in publishing and just being so entrenched in book news. Wow. I'm just like, to be a fly on the wall for some of these decisions.
I just want to be, this is the superpower I want, Amanda. This is the most boring. I don't want to be invisible. I don't want to travel. I want to be able to invisibly go back in time and just be in the meeting and hear what happened. I want to hear about the meeting where all the Tesla engineers decided how they were going to make the fart noises come out of the different speakers in the car. Because if you have a Tesla, you can make fart noises come out. I want to know about the fart noises meeting with the sound engineers in the car. I want to know about that. I want to know about this marketing meeting. I want to know about the Dick soap for Sarah J. Maas books. I want to know about that. I want to be invisible in the meeting just so I can find out how this decision was made, because I want to know, and I'm nosy. I'm not a certified hater, but damn, am I nebby.
A general rule: stop putting sexual objects in boxes you're mailing out to people you don't know.
Gosh.
Yeah,
alcohol too. I really question the whole, here's some mini bottles of alcohol. That seems potential. It has the potential to be thoughtless at best and deeply upsetting at worst.
Yeah.